Thank you. Actually, it's called Training Session 5E. There's about 25 different training sessions, so we're only going to stick with the sales for today. And there's a few key words that I'd like to go ahead and make sure they're clearly defined before we start, because it's the terminology that normally causes problems in terms of training and understanding things. So if I use a term that doesn't make sense, please stop me. I don't do it intentionally. Sometimes just being in the computer environment, it's easy to go ahead and say something and people don't understand it. So definitions and terminology is very important for me. And that way I can communicate to you exactly what's going on. So the couple of the key words are, and I want to demonstrate this as well. You can see the mouse on my screen here? Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. So we are communicating. There's something called a view, and the term of the view is to make things easy for you to see. In other words, under sales, which is the main menu you're going to be using, we have what's called a view the sales orders. And all that does is by selecting that is give you a list of the sales orders. It tells you, for example, on the sales view, what the order number is, who the customer is, and we're going to go over this in more detail, but I wanted to kind of demonstrate what the term view represents. You may or may not have had experience of looking at the customer view, for example, and this gives you a view of the customers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And then there's from a definition standpoint, we have what's called a regular sales order, and a regular sales order is an order that pulls product out of the inventory. So when you're selling to a customer and you're pulling product out of the inventory, that becomes a regular sales order. There's also something called a pre-book sales order, which is really an advanced order. We don't fool with inventory at this other than seeing what's in the system. And we're going to go through both of these today and as an example of how to process each one of them. So any questions on those terms, or does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, very good. So what I want to do is, as an overview, is I want to mention to you that this is a main menu item here called sales. And this sales menu item, we're going to go ahead and look at several different things here. We're going to look at the view the sales orders. We're going to show you how to create orders by customer, be able to do the salesperson's call list, and also view standing orders. So these are the primary things that I want to kind of focus on over the next day or so. The two types of orders I've already indicated there are pre-books and regular sales orders. So when I look at, for example, when I view the sales orders, this screen here has a lot of different functions. So I'm going to just go through and just identify several of them. And I've also referenced things on the starting on page 2 of the document. So by viewing the sales orders, I can see what the most recent order is that's in the system. So this order number goes in descending sequence. So the most recent one's always at the top. I can take and sort any one of these columns here by clicking the lower right hand corner, and I can change the sequence. So this is the oldest one at the top, and it goes down to the newest. So these screens have a lot of power to them to make it easy for you to work with. Basically, what's showing on the screen is based upon this delivery date here. So when we talk about selecting dates, the start date and the end date, we're actually selecting orders between these two dates, which is the delivery date itself. So the delivery date is shown in the right-hand column here, and we can actually be more specific by just checking and overriding these from and to dates by clicking today's orders, and that will go ahead and show you all the orders for today, or tomorrow's orders. So that'll show you orders for tomorrow. So there's a quick method to go ahead and just quickly see what's going on for today, what's going on for tomorrow. So how are we doing so far?
Good.
Good. Any questions?
No.
Okay, very good. So what we also can do is we can go ahead and look at the customers. So if I wanted to look at all of Olin's customers here, let's say I guess it's the Olin Grocery Wholesale. If I want to select the customer, I can filter all those customer orders right there just by selecting the customer. So that's another feature that makes it easy to work with. If I wanted to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and clear that screen, I just hit the backspace key. I'm going to update that to refresh it, or we can refresh the button here. This is a refresh button. This is a print button if you want to print what's on the screen, so you have a hard copy. If you want to go ahead and create a new sales order, we can click that. But what I wanted to finish up here was if you want to look at all of your sales orders. So if we want to look at specific sales rep, if I want to see what, for example, what Jeff's been doing here, I can go ahead and select that and see his orders. So these features to make it easier for you to work with and to give you a little bit more control of what's going on with the computer itself. Also, we have what we call as a ship via is actually a route or a truck route for you guys. Ship via is a description that represents carriers, whether it's an incoming carrier like Armalini or a route going out. Anything that transports product is what we call our ship via. So we can actually select by the ship vias and to be able to look at all the different routes and see what's going out on that route. So if I want to see what's going out on truck, the general truck, these are the orders that I have going out between this date and this date, and here's the delivery dates for this truck. So this gives you a chance to manage the information in the system easily without making it difficult for you to try to find something. And that's the goal of the sales view, to make it easy to locate things. There are other things we have, such as what's called a sales group. We can define sales groups like wedding orders or Christmas greens or something like that if you have the need to do that. And we also have the ability to look for a specific invoice number. So the system creates a sales order, and then one or more sales orders can be combined to create an invoice number. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. So this column here called invoice number status, anything that's active is a sales order. It has not been invoiced yet. When it's invoiced, it assigns the invoice number right here. So you can clearly see that. And if I wanted to look for a specific invoice number like 113 or something like that, I can go ahead and just type that in. It has leading zeros, but it's going to look at the digits that you enter there to try to locate it. So I can pull up a specific invoice number. And this is not necessarily the invoice record. This is the sales order that created this invoice. So we're going to get into that in a little bit more detail as we go through this. All right, so any questions so far?
No.
Okay, very good. So this is your tool, is what this is. This is a tool for you to be able to work with the system smoothly. I'm going to go ahead and just define each one of these headings. If I get into a question about it, please stop me as we go through here. We have an order number, which you see here, order 176. There's something called a suffix, SFX. All orders start with a 0, but we also have the ability of creating back orders. So if you create a large order and not all the product's been received yet, you can still go ahead and, without re-entering all the information, you can go ahead and create a back order for those items that have not yet been received and finish off the sales process for the customer to give them what you do have in inventory. So this suffix represents a back order. Anything that has a 1 or 2 or something, anything starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it may be, there may be multiple back orders, but all 0 suffixes are the main order number. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, very good. This is this indicates whether it's a web order, when it comes in off the internet as a web order, and when a web order comes in, it marks it here so it's easily seen, and it also will send you as a sales rep an email letting you know an order came in, and also the sales manager an email. So we communicate as much as we can when orders come in off the web. These this represents comments, CMNTS. Those are warehouse comments, so that makes it easy for you to see if there's some comment for the warehouse to pack things a certain way. SO stands for standing order. You notice there's an M there, there's a C there. So a standing order is set up as a master. That's what the M represents. And then from that master, children are created. So this is a child order, C, and a C here, and a C here. So if you could just think of it in terms of there's a master order, and then from that master we copy it to create copies of the masters for the next week's order, things of that nature. So that's what SO stands for: standing order, master, or child. And if it's blank, of course, there is no standing order on that. We also have order type. So there's several different order types, and this is a quick summary here. We have all the orders are being displayed or it's blank. We have an ORD, which is a standard regular order, a pre-book order, and a back order. So what we have here are these are orders, and you notice that a pre-book here is highlighted in green. That's to let you know that the delivery date has not yet been reached. If the delivery date has been reached, it'll change the light green there to a light pink. So it's kind of a warning letting you know that something didn't get out the door as being an order based upon the date of delivery, scheduled for delivery. There's also the order date. This is who the rep was on the order, the customer name, and I can stretch that screen depending upon the size of your workstations as well. The customer name, the customer city state, the customer city rather, how it's going to be shipped to them, the quantity of items on the order, and then this is the invoice number or active, if it's an active status, the amount of the invoice, or the amount of the sales order. This is whether it's pickup or delivery, and then this is delivery date. How we doing? Any questions on this so far?
Not so far.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Can you find that, phone thing? Yeah, click on the bar.
No, just
over.
the bar, the white bar.
There
you go. Up.
I don't know what you right there. Click.
Left click and drag.
You gotta hold it down. There you go. Drag it all the way down to the bottom. Okay, right there. Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. So this screen also shows you the number of orders that are on the screen, and then you can actually filter orders by the customer. There's what's called a customer type. You can select the different customer types here and be able to filter out whether you want to select them or exclude them from this particular screen layout. So this also gives you more information in terms of what's there. You know, like if you don't want to show fundraising type things, you don't have to show those on the screen. So if everything is generally understood, I'd like to go ahead and move to the next step.
Okay, we're okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So I want to go ahead and on this screen, I can go ahead and do several things. I can right click on here and I can view the sales order that I just highlighted. You notice that you highlight it by clicking on the line and it shows it as a darker blue color. I can right click on that. I can view the sales order. I can look at a summary of the sales order without opening up the order. This is just a quick summary, shows me my margins, shows me who the person was that last entered it, the date and the time. So when the order gets modified, it shows who did the modification, the date and the time that order was changed. So that gives you some more horsepower to work with. We can go into sales order pricing. We can create a new sales order from here. We can view the invoice. So there's a number of features you can do when you right click on a specific line. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click new, double click on new, and that's going to go ahead and go out and gather the information. This is the first time I've opened an order here, so it takes a moment longer than normal because it's gathering a lot of the data from the system. And I can go ahead and start to review the sales order itself. So across the top, this is a title bar, so there's the names for these different bars across the top and the bottom. And then we have a sales order number, which there's not a number there now because we haven't sold anything yet. So as soon as you make a sale of the first item, it's going to start assigning a number. This shows the order date. The status will show either active or invoiced. And then there's different functions down the right hand side. These are like function keys on the keyboard. So anybody have our favorite customer that we want to create an order for?
Let's try Hess Brothers.
How do you spell it?
H like Henry, E, S, S like Sam.
Okay, like those guys?
Yeah.
To do it right there.
All right, so Hess Brothers, thank you. So what it is, I just typed in at this line here, and the Hess Brothers came up. It showed the sold to information, the ship to information. There are options on ship to, so we can set up multiple ship tos as well. But you notice the first thing it did is it popped the calendar because it wants to make sure that we have the delivery date set for when this is to be delivered to the customer. So you can ignore this just by clicking out of it, or you can drop it down again and just say, let's say this is for tomorrow, and that's going to put tomorrow's date in there. does that sound all right the way that's working?
No, it's
Yep.
really easy.
Okay, very good. So theoretically, this screen, there's nothing you have to do with it other than set the date. The customer information should be populating all of this. The customer number, the customer sold to information, the ship to information, the sales rep on the account, and this is if you have an order group, you can go ahead and classify that. And then we have how it's being shipped. This is on the south local route. If there's any drayage involved, which I don't think you guys are worried about, if you want to put a comment on the invoice, you can do that. And then you can go ahead and have warehouse comments just for the guys in the warehouse on the pick ticket. The information here, everything defaults to delivery unless the word pickup is in the ship via, then it will automatically indicate that. And these two words are actually printed on the invoice so that the invoice is for delivery or the invoice is for pickup. That makes it very simple when we're going to and organizing for the delivery or the pickup. The information here is accounting information that comes from QuickBooks. All it's basically doing is letting us know what the customer balance is from QuickBooks so that if we want to do credit checking, we can. These two check boxes here, for pick ticket, export orders, you probably won't have anything to do with that because they don't really apply the way we have the system set up. It'll all be automatic. If I want to go ahead and, if the accounting department wants to communicate with me about Hess Brothers, they will go ahead and they have the ability to put a customer memo in there. A customer memo would be something like this. So on 3-1, and I'll put my initials on here. Pick up, get a check from the customer. I don't know. So that's a good accounting thing, right? Or have it ready for pickup. So something like that could be communicated by accounting. This is just a notepad. It's a history. I recommend you put a date, who did it, in the description. They can set an alert here. That alert, once it's set by either you or the accounting department, will go ahead and indicate this button in red. So
Oh, cool. Okay.
there's an option in the system which we do not have set right now. Anytime there's an alert, it will automatically pop this screen before you do anything. I have that turned off for right now, but as we get in more, everybody's more and more comfortable with it. That gives you the ability to see what the accounting has put a note on there before you get into the sales order with the customer. So this.
That would be a good idea.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
She's the accounting department.
Oh, okay. So we can go ahead and do that. I'll make a note and we can do it. I can follow up on that afterwards. So we can set the credit memo alert. This credit memo here is, I mean, this has been a very useful thing because many times the accounting departments may or may not be in when the sales guys are working, and it just allows you to leave a note there, and of course the sales staff would be responsible. But the sales staff can open that up, look at it, see what it is. You don't have to necessarily respond if you don't want to. I'm not sure what your policy is going to be. You can turn off the alert indicating that you've seen it, save the information again, and you're go right back to normal. So it's a light blue.
I think what I would like you guys to do is at least put in maybe the date and say saw it, and we'll go from there. We'll figure it out from there. But I do want to at least know that you guys acknowledge that you saw it.
Yeah, I mean, what you can do is just basically move that line down, put 3-8 in here for the date. Kevin, I don't know your initials, but I just put Kevin spoke with customer or something. Okay, so now what we have a history here, which has long-term benefits just to understand how it is working with the customer.
Okay.
Okay?
Questions?
Okay.
Yes,
Kim has a
I
question.
have a question.
Sure.
All right, this I'm assuming is a fresh thing right here because it's got Kevin's name in there. Now say, where am I going to go? Is it the same screen and I'm just going to go to the representative drop down and put me in there?
That's one option you can do it.
My customer?
You can all, I don't know who am I speaking to? Kim?
Him, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I knew who was talking there.
I'm
So,
in supplies, I'm not in fresh, so
Right.
that's what my question is. So
Well-
then I would just change that and I would use the same screen, correct?
that is correct. You can do it this way,
Okay.
or I can set up
Yeah.
the system so when you log in, it's always your name.
No, that's okay, that's fine.
Because-
I
because-
just wanted to make sure I was gonna do it right.
Okay, because the login will tell me who's doing the sale, so I can have Kevin logging in, and with Kevin's login, it'll show his name. With your login, it would show your name, so everything would be represented properly within who's doing what work.
Okay, that's what my question was, so
Yeah.
I just needed to know where, that's what I had to do is change it.
And it
Okay.
can be changed, but I think that I know that Lee and I have talked about this aspect of things over the last couple weeks off and on. But I think the best way to set it up is let me just make a note of that is to default
Can
user
I-
login.
Can I just interject something just for clarity?
Sure.
It doesn't matter whose name is there, Kim. This
Okay.
is, this computer, what happens is all of the supplies are categorized so that salesperson 2, who you are for Hess, gets credit for any supplies billed to Hess. So regardless of what it says up there for rep,
Gotcha.
you get
Okay.
the credit.
Yeah, that's great. I just didn't know, because I saw his name, if I was billing something to Hess, that I would change that to Janet or whatever while I'm in the process of
It's a,
billing
li-
it. She's not here.
it's a little confused. Yeah, I can understand the confusion, but I just wanted to let you know that there's an internal mechanism that makes sure that any supplies billed to your customers get credited to you regardless of the name that's on the pick sheet.
Okay, gotcha.
When you open the thing.
Okay,
Thank you, Ed.
perfect.
So Kim, by putting your name on here, the thing that does help in terms of the operational flow is that if somebody had to come back regarding this order, they'd know exactly who to see.
Right, gotcha.
Okay, so it's an identification process in terms of the day-to-day operations.
Okay,
And
yep, got it.
because of that, if you are on the road and Sue pulled the order, it would be actually better to have her name on it so that if there were a question while the drivers
Exactly.
were executing it, they would look at it and see Sue's name instead of yours and go see
Right.
her and she could explain it. But
Gotcha.
internally, the credit for that sale would still go to you.
Now I got you. I understand it now. Got it. So in other words, whoever's billing the order is gonna put their name in there, because that's what it should be anyway.
Yes.
So if there's a question, they can come to us.
That's correct.
Okay. Got it.
Great. Good question. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue if that's okay with you. All right, very good. I didn't know if there was any more questions on it. That's why I'm checking. We also,
All good, thank you.
okay, very good. We also have something called sales memos, and these are designed for you as a salesperson regarding the account. So you can put notations in here, let's say 3-1 or whatever it may be, and there's a large wedding order for next week, just as a reminder, or something of that nature, so that you can go ahead and you don't have to keep a little sticky notes on it, but you can actually save this and actually remember it by just whenever it comes up, you just basically go into that, check it out when you're there. So you can just take a look at it. Okay, how's this wedding coming along? What's going on next week? Or I should say next month, not next week. But that's how that works there. And then we have customer contacts. Now this gives you an unlimited number of contacts. You just put in the contact name. We've defined a few job titles, like for example, business owner, buyer, accounting. We can add more names there that in terms of job titles for descriptions, the phone numbers, the cell phone numbers, fax numbers, email. This is an additional feature in order to put in people that may not be the primary people on the customer's account. Also, when this is an unlimited list, so you can put as many contacts in there as you want. If you select that first item or whatever item it is, it focuses attention and allows you to put a birth date in there, a home phone number, and any comments about the customer himself, like his preferences, his wife's names, his kids' names, what they're doing, sports. It's kind of like a CRM or for customer information. in order to make it easy to transition from one sales rep to another.
Okay.
Okay, so that's another feature there. So these 3 buttons work, and then when we finish this order, I'm going to come back here because as soon as the order is done, we have the ability to print things out as well and email it. So there's 1 or 2 other buttons that I want to address here, and that is not buttons, check boxes. There's something called a very important order. This is defined for every organization specifically. Everybody has their own policy. But like, for example, if this is a wedding order and it really has to get out, we have things in the system that highlight a very important order so that it won't get lost and that people are alert to that. We also have something called market day, which is a separate discussion. We also have the ability to put a percent on there. We also have the ability to apply the percentage to current pricing. In other words, whatever pricing's on here. All right. Any questions so far?
Yep.
Okay. And as you notice, because we pulled up the customer, you have his name at the top, the phone number, fax number. The buttons are more lit up here, and also there's totals at the bottom to keep track of what's going on with the order when you're doing it. So if it's okay, we'll go to the next tab. The next tab is quick entry, and then after that we're going to look at summary. There's shipping. There's creating a standing order from this, and also bill of lading. We're going to go to, all you have to do is click the quick entry, and what the quick entry does, it's set up for all categories to show, but you can actually be definitive. I can show fresh cut here. I can go ahead and show the roses. I can show plants. I can show supplies. So I can filter things down to just your area that you're working with. If I wanted to be more selective, the search criteria could be by product code. In other words, you know the product code. You can go ahead and it's like a Google search. It's like let me see what we have in pink, and those are all the pinks. And I want hot pink, so I'll just put in the word hot. Whoops, not there. I put in the word hot pink here, so I can show whatever products we have for hot pink. Okay, those are my hot pinks. So this search has multiple words that are separated by a space to allow you to filter through the descriptions, and then we can just highlight this and just go through here and say, okay, let me have 100 of those guys, and they're at $10.95. And I can put in here, let's say special pack. I can put a description in there for the warehouse so that they have more information. And I can either press enter twice, or I can click this button here. I'm going to click the button so you can see me do it. Click add, and what that does, it pulls it out of inventory. It just reduced that 2,000 to 1,900. And what that does, it pulls it out of inventory and actually records that item on the summary screen. So the summary will give you a list of all of the products that you've sold to the customer, and then we can edit or change it from here as well. So let me go ahead and sell a couple other things here. And in terms of I can go ahead and I can mix different types of products on the same order, but I think supplies are gonna do a separate order for their things. So let's say this fall pack, we own 50 of those. I can just press enter twice. I can actually go through here. It's going to take my last one I selected and leave it at the top so I know where I left off. So if I go through here and do a 25 green, for example, I can press that, and that's going to move to the top for the next item to show. So I can actually go down my list here, and I can actually put multiple things on one page. So if I wanted to, work with, work in here for terms of, the whites or the whatever it may be, I can go ahead and say, okay, let me have 5 of these, and I can go down here and let's say the curl of willy tips, I want 5 of those guys. So I can go ahead and do multiples on the screen to make it a little bit easier to work with as well. And we want 5 of these. So I can go ahead and do that, press enter, it's going to process all of them. It reduces inventory, and the information is summarized on this screen here. These are the items I selected.
Just remember though, Johnny, talk to them about how the page refreshes like we talked about before, where if you go in and you pick 15 carnations, make sure that you add them to the order before you go on to pom-poms, because they won't stay there without being put in.
Yeah, very good. So what happens is, and just as an observation point, if I'm going to go ahead and take this Cymbidium here, and we want 10 of those Cymbidiums, I could go ahead and press enter here, or I can click add, and you notice what it's doing is that's changing the 2000 to 1990, and you notice the screen comes back and refreshes. So the refreshing of the screen will actually wipe out anything else you have there. If you're thinking, if you have multiple things that you do on other screens, in other words, sometimes you go through 3 or 4 screens, you need to hit this add to order, otherwise it gets cleared. Or if you go ahead and do a search and say, okay, I want palms, that search goes out and refreshes the screen as well, which is, I guess that wasn't the best selection there arose. So by going out and searching for a particular product, in other words, if I go ahead and say I want 3 of these guys here, and I'm thinking about this, oh yeah, let me go ahead and look for some carnations. By going out to carnations, it's going to clear that 3 away from the screen and not process it.
Okay, so you gotta go down here every time.
So before you go away from that screen at all, you gotta,
Just like the
you
other
gotta
screen,
add it
yeah,
in.
that's why
Okay.
it says it.
Yep. So it'll all go away.
Yep, it kind of goes away, and of course that allows you to clearing the search filters clears all these filters up here. If you want to just clear it and start over again, start fresh, or you want to go ahead and change products. You want to look at the plants, see what you have in plants. It allows you to go ahead and kind of stay focused is what the goal was, is to basically focus in on the major areas you're working with. And then from there you can go ahead and work on the summary screen. Now this summary screen will really work pretty much the same way as I think what you're doing now. So if I was looking at Alstros and I just put in Alstro, which is the assorted, it kind of came out Alstro sorted. I have the option to put a comment or a color there. It positions the cursor here in quantity, and I can go ahead and say I want 20 of those, and they're $5.99 each. So as I tab through there, it's calculating, or when I press enter, it's calculating the price. So it's $119.80, and I'll press enter on that, and that records it as well. So it adds it to the bottom of the list.
It's also on any key
I didn't hear that, Ed, but if you want to say, do you want me to go over anything?
No,
You thought it-
sorry.
That's okay. I just didn't want to.
Come in my mouth.
Okay. All right. So what we have here is we have a list of the product codes. We have a list of the descriptions, any comments, the unit of measure, how that's being sold, the quantity, how they're packed, the total units that we're selling to the customer, the unit price, and then the total dollars for that particular item. So if I go ahead and there's no discounts on this at all, and then there's an identification within the system, each line has its own internal identification, so that we can go ahead and print labels or do certain other things for this particular order. But if I wanted to go ahead and look at this special pack of 100, I can click on that line item and actually edit the sales order. So the quantity is 100, it's packed 1. And we're gonna, because of the large order, Ed said we go ahead and give them a 10% discount. So I'm going to go ahead and just give them 10% because of the fact that they're good customers and they bought a lot today. So what that does, it refreshes the screen. It goes ahead and shows me there's a 10% discount, readjusts the price for you, and now we're off and running. You notice that on here we have 9 line items of the order. We also have 223 total units of items that were sold to the customer for the total value subtotal. And there's no other charges put in here. If I want to put another charge in here, let's say $10 for handling, I can put in $10 and type in the word handling here if I want, or whatever terminology you want to use. So that's an option as well. And also sales tax can be calculated. This is not a sales tax customer, but if there's a special situation, I can override that and check the sales tax box, and you notice it calculated the sales tax there. So there's an option also on the screen. The freight, if there's any particular freight, we can go ahead and put that in here as well. So our total order, not including the delivery charge at this stage, is $1903.49. Because of the fact that the system will combine invoices, can combine sales orders, or leave them standalone, we have different options in the system to calculate the delivery charge based upon the number of orders that are going to be delivered during whatever route that you're sending them out on. So the delivery charge is, because let's say we have 3 of these orders and you're gonna go do an invoice for each one, it only charge 1 delivery charge automatically. So we have some features in the system that handle that, and that's why the delivery charge is not on here. So I went through a lot of things by talking about the quick entry, this area, talk about the summary. I'd like to just kind of take a moment and see if there's any conversation that you want to do about this, if there's things that you want to discuss about this process.
This part's pretty easy.
I think so too.
This part's very easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, very good. But I'm going to continue then if it's okay with you.
Please.
Okay, very good. So we have assigned a sales order number at the top. I meant to show you this when we took the first line item here. We also have more buttons open here. So, for example, if I was going to go ahead and put in the Astro assorted Astro, I'm going to put in that because I want to pick up something else here. Let's say the Astro Fancy. I selected that. I can see the available. These 3 boxes here are associated with this part of the screen. So you see the little line there? I can add this order just by clicking here. I can actually look at a product history on this. There's no product history for this customer for that particular product, but I can actually see what he bought, when he bought it, and what he paid for by clicking the product history, by putting in the different product codes here. And I can also clear the selection. So I can just click that and it clears the selection up there. So these 3 buttons here are designed to be able to give you buttons for this area itself, the summary area. Are we okay with that?
Especially multiple for those customers that call and say, you remember what I bought 3 weeks ago, right, and how much I paid for it?
Yeah.
Now we do.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, we also have our previous order and next order. So if if the customer refers to the previous order last week that he did, you could click that previous order button, and that's going to take you back to his prior order on this on the summary screen, so you can see all the detail. Of course, it says there's no previous or sales order here. The only thing you have to do is remember to go back to this order that you're working on, because this order is already recorded. As you're processing it, it's recording everything, so it's not going to go away and disappear on you accidentally. It's always going to be there. But sometimes people forget to go back to the order they were working on. So normally the previous orders will be locked down because they've already been sent over to accounting. So you're not going to be able to do anything with it. But I just wanted to remind you that you can go to the previous order. And in the case of pre-books or back orders, you may want to go to the next order, the one that's after this one. So the previous next means before and after is what it's basically saying. The shipping screen you're not going to be using. This is an option. We can go ahead and set things up for printing labels and a number of box labels and that are associated with this. The standing order button may be something that you're going to be using. So if the purpose of putting this as a tab was if you're talking with a customer, the goal here is to see if you can get the customer to go ahead and repeat this order each week. Saying, I don't know what the fellow's name here is at Hess, but why don't we go ahead and just set this up on a recurring order, and we can go over to here, the standing order tab, and today's order is the 8th. So let's say every Tuesday, starting the 15th through, let's say for a year, 2017, on Tuesday we're going to go ahead and do this order, and I can go ahead and update the standing order information, and now we've actually put that on standing order. It's that easy. So we're not talking about anything complicated. I mean, there's some rules that the standing orders have, and I'm going to get into that as a follow-up part of our discussion, either today or tomorrow. But the idea is that this is now a standing order, and that means that next week we can go ahead and just click on it. It's going to generate the same order. And when you have a standing order, you can change whatever is on here. It doesn't matter, because they may not want the Alstroemeria green this week, or the Cymbidium, or whatever it may be, and you may want to substitute other items for that. So next week when you do it, you can change it whatever you want. It just eliminates having to re-enter all this information. And then if you're doing a bill of lading, we can go ahead and do a bill of lading as well. I don't think you're going to be using this tab particularly, but I wanted to let you know that that's there. Typically at this point, I believe, if I understand in my conversations with Ed, you'll probably go ahead and create a pick ticket, and that pick ticket will actually go ahead and give you a summary. You notice I put this, I left the buttons very important order clicked on the front screen, if you, do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, this says VIO. That's just standing out, letting it know that it's a very important order, so that the guys in the warehouse see that, they know that we want to make sure that it gets handled properly. This is the information regarding the date for the delivery and the day of the week for it to be delivered, the customer information, the sales order number. The warehouse can put in here pulled by, packed by, number of pieces. This is the barcode for this order, which can be used as part of our warehouse order management as well. And we have who the sales rep is, the order date, the delivery date, and the other information here. This pick ticket is actually lined up into sections, and you can define the different sections that will print on here, and you can define the sequence of how you want those printed as well. So all the basics, what you call basics, are showing here, quantities, and they can have a checkbox here that it's indicate that it's pulled. The fillers are separate here. You can check that box as well. Tropicals, check that box. So this is set up so that it can be organized to fit your operation and to make it easy for you to pick. Any questions on this?
Nope, no.
Okay, very good. All right. So that VIO is because of this checkbox here, just so you know. I just want to make sure you know where that was coming from. If I turn that off and I did the pick ticket again, it would not show VIO up in the upper left-hand corner. So, you know, it's something that Ed and Lee may want to get together on in terms of define it so that it's used properly. Otherwise, I can see everybody's order is important, right? But there are other things in the system that you could search for very important orders on. So I just want to just from experience, I know that can get out of hand if it's not defined in terms of how you want to operate with it. Also now, because we set this up as a standing order, you notice that it shows here that this is a standing order master. So I now have this set up as a standing order master. If for some reason this was set accidentally and the customer at the very end said, "No, we don't want to do that," all you have to do is go to the tab and click this to stop it. And now it's stopped. It's that easy.
Wow.
So my goal for today was to go through this, like what we've done, and to handle any questions that you may have. There's another section that I want to do before we end off today, but I want to make sure that there's anything on here that you have questions on. You can, ask them now. Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay, very good. All these items are actually in the reference material, and please use that. Make some notes on it. It's designed to make it easy reference for you and to have an example of how things are set up. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and go to the page 13, which is on there, and I'm going to talk about a pre-book. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So when Jeff does his purchase orders, I want to just check this before we go any further because I had not looked beforehand, but when we're looking at incoming availability tells us what POs are in the system. So let me just check this out. I wanted to show a specific feature here, and maybe everything's been received. Okay, these are in process. So I got 9 items here. I'm just going to go ahead and put this on order. This is the purchase order side of the system, which allows you to sell on product coming into the building. So that's why I wanted to have this set up for us. So these are the items that are on the Connecta Flora, and I'm going to just put it on order so I can go ahead and use this, and it shows me the date and time it was ordered. So by having a purchase order on a PO on order, it allows me to go ahead and see what's coming in. So we have a feature here under purchase orders for Jeff to see what products I have coming in. And let's see here, what was the date on that? I didn't pay attention to that. Let me just see that again. And this is on order, and this is for 2/25. Okay, it's a little bit old. I guess the arrival date's a little past. So if I went back to 2/25, it would show me these items that I've just put on order. Obviously our dates are a little bit off, but I think you get the general idea. So anything that goes on order as a purchase order is what's called income, and it goes into what's called incoming availability. And this is a little introduction to the pre-books that we're going to be working on. It shows you that this screen shows the arrival date, who the farm is, whether it's a standing order or not. Here are the products, here's how they're going to be delivered, the quantity that we have on order, how it's packed, and then any commitments that you make to it. In other words, you as sales reps are going to actually make commitments against this product here that's coming in so that we don't oversell it. And that's what I wanted to just bring to your attention, and then it shows that available. So we're going to go through this process. If this makes sense to you, I want to go to the next step. Does this make sense in terms of product that's coming in?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and show another view on this in terms of getting an order. Let's say I'm going to go to the orders by customers, and somebody like to select another customer, or does it matter?
Just pick one.
Doesn't matter.
Pick one? Okay, let's do a touch of class. That sounds classy.
There you go.
You know the customer better than I do.
Well,
Okay, so what I've done here is I basically I used this option here, which was create orders by customer, so that I can go ahead and just go down whatever the customer is, type his name in, put in his phone number. There's 14 searches that are done in the search field with the customer database, so it makes it easy to find things. And the idea here is that you saw that the date had popped up as well. So let's say this is going to be for Monday, the 14th. And by putting it on Monday, I can go ahead and make any changes here. It's Hormel, I'm not sure who that is. But if I click any place on the screen, it knows that if it's that far out, it's automatically going to be a pre-book. So this checkbox is automatically checked. You can actually manually check that as well. It doesn't have to be done automatically, but I just wanted to let you know that this checkbox indicates it is an advanced order, a pre-book. It shows it is a pre-book at the top as well. Everything else is the same, so nothing else changes on the screen. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. But you notice by becoming a pre-book, the tabs change across the top. Instead of having quick entry and the summary, we have inventory and incoming availability. So I can go ahead and click either one of these. I'm going to do the incoming availability to make it consistent with what we just went over, but if I click the incoming availability, it's going to show me all those products that are on order that I can start selling against because they're going to arrive before my delivery to the customer. This arrival date controls what is shown on this screen. So my customer delivery date's on the 14th, and I know our dates are a little bit off here, but so it's going to show everything up to that's going to be arriving on the day prior to the 14th. That way it allows us to go ahead and start selling on against product that's coming in because it's going to be in next week anyway, right? So I can go ahead and see what any internal comment that the buyer gives to me can be put here, so you can see the internal comments like this is a special order, or it may be delayed, or it's whatever his comment is for the sales reps. We also have the estimated arrival date. We also have the quantity that's on order, and then anything that's already been committed against this quantity. So on this first, the pom-pom button white, we also already have 12 units committed on the 48. So that gives the balance on there of what's available for sale is 36. And then this quantity field is pretty much the same as it is on the other sales screen. So I can go ahead and sell 5 of these, and I can go down here and say we want some of the Monte the Mardi Gras. I got the Monte and the Mardi Gras mixed up there, but now we don't have any prices here, so I can actually, I know this is probably at least $3.50, right? And I can go down the pricing screen and also update this as well, $2.95, and I can use the price that's really set there based upon the system, or if it's zero, then obviously we want to put something in there. Did that make sense by maybe just filling in those prices?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't confusing anything. So there is a checkbox here if I want to show the product code. If I have any confusion on that, I can show the product code on the screen as well. So that's an option, and I can just add to the order just like I did before. So what happens is it adds to the order, it increases the commitment. You see the commitment there is now 5 on these two guys here. It reduces what's available to sell. When this product is received, those 5 will be set aside for you on this order and will not go into open market inventory, so they will not be sold by accident. So you know, managing the pre-books is really important to make sure that everything ties together properly, because you may have a cancellation of a pre-book. When you cancel it, it basically goes back into open market inventory. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. If I want to show the product code, I can click that, and it's going to change that field in the center, which was internal comments. That comes from the buyer and shows the product code here. So you can actually see, some people are very product code oriented, so we want to have that available on the screens as we go through this. There's also an option to set it permanently so you have it on every one of the screens. Your selection by category is still available. You can search for things that are still available, because this will probably get quite large at some point in time. Okay. So what we did is we sold some product off of what's coming in on the purchase orders, and this is what we've sold. Now you notice that the color on here, the color, by the way, is described on page 16. So that you can actually see what these colors mean. And specifically the black background with the white letters indicates the product's been allocated to a purchase order, it has not been received, and there's not enough on hand to fill this order. So this is color coded, so all you have to do is look at it and know what the status of the inventory is. You don't have to go searching anywhere for it, which really makes your job much, much easier if you're looking at things that are happening in the future and what the plans are and so on. Now we're going to create some other colors here as well if this is understood enough to go into the next step.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, very good, thank you. So I'm going to go to what's called the inventory tab. This is every product you have in your inventory table. Every product that's in the system is here. And we also have, as you see here on the right hand side, we actually have volume discounts on things. So if there's a volume discount, it would show it here. All right, so that helps you to work with the customer as well. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and arbitrarily select a product here. Let's say it's 5 of these guys here, and because there's a quantity discount here on this, I tab over here. You notice it dropped it automatically to $28.50. Did you notice that? So I can go ahead and apply my volume discounts automatically. I don't have to think about it. The system will do it for me. Doesn't mean that it's perfect. There's always exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, this will handle the majority of situations that you have to deal with. And that's the important thing. Now, I don't have as many volume discounts on fresh. So remember, these are inventory items that are in the system. There are some that there's nothing there. These Canadian number ones, there's nothing in inventory. So I'm going to go ahead and sell 100 of those for, I have no idea what they're worth, but they must be at least $5, right? $5.10. So I can add that to the inventory item, and I can go through here and search, do my searches. I can go ahead and break it down by the different categories and fulfill the pre-book order, the advanced order, the same way as I would do normally. So this doesn't work any different. It's just not affecting inventory because it's a pre-book. It's not ready to go ahead and process against inventory yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, very
That
good.
way Jeff will order those Alstrom area Taurus.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Say it again.
So that way Jeff will order those for that date. Those,
Ah.
Alstrom number one that you just put in.
Very good. You're way ahead of me, but thank you for mentioning it, and I'll go ahead and show you that. So Jeff actually, because of the fact that, and let me go ahead and show you like this Alstro Canadian number one is orange and black. That orange means it has not been ordered yet. So if you come to this order and you're getting ready to finalize this order for the customer, and you see that orange there, you can go ahead and say, what's going on with this? Because Jeff has, from this entry that you've made here, he can actually see what products need to be ordered. And these are all the products that need to be ordered based upon the pre-books. So you'll notice that 178.0 is, just so you know that, this is the order number we have open here. It highlights it in red because he can't process it when you have it open, but it shows you exactly what items that are needed to be ordered and what's going to be paid for and how they're to be ordered. So he will have the information within these dates and the parameters that he selects here to be able to go ahead and order a product that you're setting up on your pre-book. So your accuracy as a sales rep is very important also.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got this red and the gray background. That means the product's in inventory. If the customer wanted it, we could go ahead and give it to him for today. And I'm going to actually walk through that process with you so you can see how that's done.
Okay.
Actually, I want to do one more item that's in inventory. Let's do 100 of these guys. Okay. So now we got 2 items here that are in inventory. One hasn't been ordered yet. The other 2 are going to be coming in before this order is due. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. So we're still in a pre-book mode. The summary is here. We can enter items on this screen just like we can the other one. We can create a standing order from this. If you want to make this a standing order, you can do that as well. There's also some notations here about converting this to a sales order, being able to use the back order. So I can go ahead and do a checkbox here and say back order this, this, and this, and go ahead and create an order just with the items I've entered. So it allows you, in case the customer is in a hurry to get some products, to create a pre-book without knowing exactly what may occur and not have to do 2 orders and do everything on 1 order and then just go ahead and create a back order for the items that you don't have yet. So that makes it a little bit more streamlined for you to work with. The pick ticket is pretty much the same. I just want to show you the pick ticket before we actually go ahead and do this. But it shows that it is a pre-book. It shows when it's due, and it has the same breakdown as the other pick ticket in terms of sections here. So everything is basically the same except the way it affects inventory. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So I can go ahead and I can click and create an invoice. I can click and convert to a sales order. In other words, I'm not ready to invoice it yet. If I click and convert to a sales order, it wants to know whether or not I should update prices to current prices, because this pre-book may have been done 3 or 4 weeks ago, and maybe the prices have changed. So I have that option. I can turn this option off as well if we don't want it. I'm going to say no at this point. Now it's going to go through each one of these items and let me know whether or not we don't have a sufficient inventory for that. I can substitute it if I'd like to, or I can back order it. So I can go ahead and click back order. Here's another one that's going to be back ordered, and then the third one's going to be back ordered, and the rest of them now have become part of a sales order. So this is now a sales order. I can go ahead and invoice this. I can get it out the door. You notice it's 178-0, which is the base number, and it works just now. I've got a regular sales order I'm working with. The advantage here is the fact that if I go back and look at my sales view, I can see that there's a back order here, which is still a pre-book because we don't have the product in here, but it's the same base order number, so that you know where it came from. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I can go ahead and double click on this and I can open up this pre-book order and I can work with that just as I would normally any other order. So it's a pre-book back order. It clearly defines that here. Here's my items here. They're still sitting there. If Jeff put these on order, they would automatically track with this particular pre-book. So if we went ahead and closed the 178-0 and finalize that, anything would go to this 178-1 order, would be tracked automatically in the purchase order system. So it does a lot of things behind the scenes that you're not aware of in order